Good day everyone, this is teacher Nori. In this video, we are going to talk about weather and climate. First, let us define what is weather. Weather describes the condition in the atmosphere at a particular time, on a particular day, in a particular place. What is climate? Climate describes the average of all conditions in a particular place over many years, usually decades. Who studies the weather? The study about weather conditions is called meteorology, and the person studying it is called a meteorologist. In the Philippines, the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAG-ASA, is a government agency that deals with weather phenomenon, climate, and astronomy. Weather elements. Weather elements are the factors that interact in the atmosphere to produce weather and climate. What are the elements of weather? The elements of weather are temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, winds and air masses, cloud formation, and precipitation. Temperature is the measure of the hotness or coldness of air. It is measured using a thermometer. There are different units in measuring temperature, but we use the unit Celsius or degree Celsius in the Philippines. Humidity. Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere. It is measured in percent relative humidity. Relative humidity refers to the ratio of moisture actually present in the air compared to what the air can hold at a given temperature. It is measured using a hygrometer. Atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure is the downward force exerted by the column of air over an area. It is determined by the thickness or density and temperature of the air mass over an area. It is measured using a barometer, and the units used are atmosphere, Pascal, millimeters of mercury, pounds per square inch, and others. There are three components to forming clouds: water vapor, cool air, and dust particles that serves as condensation nuclei. As warm air rises, it gets cooler and the rate of evaporation decreases more rapidly than the rate of condensation. At this temperature, called the dew point, evaporation is less than condensation. The many water droplets floating in air may clump and grow into cloud drops when temperature drops. However, the cooling of air alone will not result in the formation of these cloud drops. Another necessary ingredient is dust or other solid particles suspended in the air, because it is around these particles that the water droplets begin to form. These are what we call the condensation nuclei. Water droplets formed in this manner are very small, too small to form a cloud. However, if the temperature and moisture content of the air are just right, the water droplets will begin to combine to form larger and larger drops. When these drops get large enough, a cloud is formed. Therefore, a cloud is not a gas, but is made up of droplets of water. A cloud can also be formed when the water droplets freeze to form ice crystals. Most clouds form in the troposphere, and rarely in the stratosphere. There are four basic types of clouds. We have the cirrus cloud, cumulus cloud, stratus cloud, and nimbus cloud. Precipitation. Precipitation is the transfer of water from the atmosphere back to Earth's surface. However, the amount of precipitation can vary by location. When cloud particles become too heavy to remain suspended in the air, they fall to the earth in the form of hail, rain, freezing rain, sleet, or snow. In most cases, the water vapor in a cloud is frozen, as in the form of snow. If this frozen material melts as it falls, the precipitation is in the form of rain. Freezing rain is rain that becomes supercooled and freezes upon impact with cold surfaces. When the frozen material does not melt, the precipitation falls as snow. If this frozen material melts and refreezes, the precipitation falls as sleet. If this frozen material falls from clouds high in our atmosphere, it can sometimes be melted, then swept up and back through many layers of cold air. These small particles turn to ice and get larger and larger as they continue to be swept around in our atmosphere. Eventually, they reach a large size and fall from the sky as hail. Winds and air masses. Wind systems can be grouped into two: global wind systems and minor wind systems. We must remember, wind is named after the direction it came from. As warm air rises from the equator, it travels to the polar regions where it is cooler. In effect, the cold air from the poles travel towards the equator to fill the space left by the warm air. However, Earth's rotation causes the winds between the equator and the poles to move in circular pattern, producing wind belts. The wind belts are trade winds, prevailing westerlies, and prevailing easterlies. And above the troposphere exists a fast-moving river of air called jet stream. It flows from west to east at speeds of 80 kilometers per hour to 600 kilometers per hour. Minor wind systems. These smaller wind systems are land and sea breeze. When a large section of the atmosphere near the Earth's surface takes the same temperature and moisture, it is called an air mass. This is another wind system. An air mass can be stationary, cold, warm, or occluded. Land and sea breeze. During the day, the sun heats the land and the air above it very fast. This warm air rises and is replaced by cooler air coming from the ocean. The wind that blows from the sea toward the land is known as sea breeze. At night on the shore, the land cools faster than the water. Warmer air above the sea rises and cooler air from the land replaces the rising air. Wind that blows from the land to the sea is called a land breeze. We already learned that a large section of the atmosphere near Earth's surface that takes the same temperature as the surface and contains the same amount of moisture or water vapor as the surface is called an air mass. When two air masses meet at a certain point, it is called a front. There are four types of frontal systems: cold front, warm front, occluded front, and stationary front. A stationary front is produced when air masses stop moving and the weather associated with it lasts until the front begins to move. A cold front is the boundary area produced when a cold air mass enters an area of warm air and the cold air pushes the warm air upward. A warm front is the boundary area produced when a warm air mass enters an area of cold air and the warm air moves ahead and over the cold air. Since cold fronts typically move faster than warm fronts, they can overtake a warm front fast enough to produce another kind of front called occluded front. The weather associated with an occluded front is very complex and unpredictable. Rain showers or light snow may be followed by thunderstorms or heavy rainfall. This illustration shows us a summary of the different types of fronts and its associated weather. For a cold front, we may expect short precipitation occurring quickly but may be heavy, more violent storms, rapid movement, which means a rapid change of weather, and cooler temperature. For a warm front, we may experience a prolonged warm temperature, gentle precipitation, and the change in weather will be slow. For occluded fronts, the complex weather may bring light rain showers followed by thunderstorms and the precipitation caused by rising warm air. For stationary fronts, we have long periods of the same weather and we can only experience a change in weather when the front begins to move. The weather disturbances that we may experience here are thunderstorm or lightning storm, tropical cyclone, monsoon, and ITCZ or the Intertropical Convergence Zone. A thunderstorm or lightning storm is a small-scale weather system with lightning and thunder produced by a cumulonimbus cloud that has a funnel shape, usually producing gusty winds, heavy rain, and sometimes hail. A thunderstorm is about to occur when the skies darken with increasing wind, flashes of lightning, sound of thunder, and static on your AM radio. This weather phenomenon may last for about 30 minutes to an hour. A tropical cyclone is a low-pressure system which generally forms over the tropics with wind and thunderstorm activity. It came from the Greek word which means coiling snake. Cyclones are huge, violent whirlwinds that happen in many parts of the earth. Cyclones are weather systems that rush in a spiral motion from different directions to a low-pressure center called the eye of the storm. Tropical cyclones that come from the Pacific Ocean move west or northwest, while those coming from the South China Sea move northwest or northeast. Both can hit the Philippines. In the table shown here, we have the Pag-asa's revised storm warning system and the updated tropical cyclone classification. The word monsoon comes from the Arab word which means seasonal wind. In the Philippines, the northeast monsoon or amihan comes in October to February and brings rain mostly in Mindanao. On the other hand, the southwest monsoon or habagat comes as the southwest trade winds that originate from the high-pressure area of south of Australia. It is generally warm and dry, but picks up moisture as it passes the warm waters of the Indonesian Sea and moves toward the equator with a low pressure. The Coriolis effect deflects the direction of the wind to the right, and it becomes the southwest monsoon as it approaches the Philippines. This brings rain to many parts of the Philippines from May to September. The ITCZ, or the Intertropical Convergence Zone, is the meeting place of hot and cold trade winds in the northern and southern hemispheres. Weather system may occur in rain showers to heavy rains in affected areas. Flash floods in low-lying areas may take place due to heavy downpour. And that is the end of our video. Thank you for watching. Until next time!